And then I want to bring on our next speaker. I'm delighted to have Karen with us today. Karen is head of division at the Market Infrastructure Development Department at the ECB. And Karen will talk about tips and improving the cross-border payments. So Karen, over to you and welcome.
Thank you very much, Aileen. And first of all, I'd just like to say I'm very happy to see such a great interest in our focus session on the future of target services. So yes, indeed. So I'm responsible with my division for the evolution of the target services. That means to us the projects, the changes in terms of release changes, the onboarding of new markets and initiatives. So we are on the project management side, of course, together with other divisions to make that happen. And today we're going to be glancing into the future of TIPS and what we are planning for the cross-currency payments. So we can go over to the next slide. I'd like to start with a quote from Piero Cipollone. Now, Piero Cipollone is our executive board member responsible at the ECB for market infrastructure and payments. And at a regional governors meeting in April this year in Croatia, he said that the pressing need is not just a regional concern, it's a matter of urgency worldwide. And the Eurosystem is responding proactively to challenges in line with the G20 roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments. Now, that's really important, and I'd like to pick up the G20 roadmap as a topic on the next slide. Just to also mention, we all know that probably that cross-border payment flows are increasing and they're projected to double by 2030, but there's been quite slow progress and some challenges experienced. So what we would like is greater transparency, greater speed, lower costs, and those are the targets of G20, but there hasn't been fast enough progress towards them. I'll give you a few examples about that. So the average cost of an international retail payment remains high. So for 1/4 of global payment corridors, the cost still exceeds 3%. And that's a lot. We also experience a second example, 1/3 of retail cross-border payments took more than one business day to be settled in 2024. So here we are moving to a world of instant payments, fast payments. And we are, as a Eurosystem, following the targets of the G20. Another issue that we are seeing worldwide is the geopolitical tensions are happening. I'll give you a keyword, and I think everybody knows that we are seeing the fragmentation of the global financial system into non-communicating blocks. And here, these are challenges that we are facing in line with, in our objectives to, for the G20 objectives, but the G20 believes that fast payment systems are a promising tool for action. Now we go on to the next slide, and I'm going to be taking TIPS as an example. What is the Eurosystem doing to meet those objectives of the G20 in terms of cross-border payments? Now, TIPS is multi-currency by design. We have 3 currencies on our platform. Euro was there since the beginning, November 2018. The Swedish krona joined us in February 24, so February last year. And over Easter, the Danish market joined us as well with instant payments and had a very successful onboarding, actually not only TIPS, but also T2. So these 3 currencies, I just want to give you an insight on our volumes for these 3 currencies so that we can also think about the potential for cross-border amongst the currencies in TIPS. I'm going to take a random day, the 15th of May, as an example. On that day, we settled 7.7 million transactions, so instant payments on the TIPS platform. 3.3 million of them were in euro, 2.8 in Swedish krona, and the remaining, so around 1.6 million in Danish kroner. So just to give you a feeling for where we are, and on a weekend, so over 3 days, we typically settle around 20 million transactions in tips. Now, looking also towards the future is, and this is something that Ulrich mentioned earlier on, the Norwegian Central Bank is interested in joining us with the Norwegian krona for their market, and also Iceland has sent a letter of intent to join us on TIPS. So that's just looking into the future and our potential for cross currency. I'll go to the next slide now. And now this is the point of the presentation. We want to enable cross-currency, cross-border payments within the EU. And priority number one for us is on our platform, the currencies that we have and are still joining us in the future. Now, TIPS is ideal for our cross-currency because of several reasons. One is we're 24/7 already, and we can ensure instant payments also for cross-currency on our payment, so end-to-end instant payments. Now, the settlement is in central bank money, as all of our central bank systems, and the project that we're here speaking about is run jointly by the Eurosystem, the Riksbank, and Denmark's Nationalbank to enable cross-currency. But our solution is currency agnostic. That means that other currencies that join us in the future can just also join easily the cross-currency initiative. So I'm going to go to the next slide now and speak about how we are implementing cross-currency or cross-border payments and by when you could expect it. So we are implementing the so-called enhanced linked transaction settlement model. And what is that? The model is about settling end-to-end the transaction in both currencies at the same time as an all or nothing approach. So it means either both legs of the transaction will settle or they both will not settle. And the situation that we have today where one leg might settle and the other, where the PSP has to manage it in another platform or another currency might not settle, is mitigated. The risk is mitigated with our enhanced linked transaction settlement model. So we think that we're bringing value with this model to our cross-border payments. If you're interested in the technical details, please take a look on the website. Aileen showed you how to navigate a bit in the website. You'll find our change request, number 65 it is, for the enhanced linked transaction model. Our technical go live is planned for October this year, so it's really quite soon. And our so-called business go live will probably be a bit later. And we are working together with 13 PSPs who've sent us a letter of intent and who are supporting this service and are interested in participating. Now, just to mention that for these 13 PSPs, we are setting up a new industry task force to consult on the topics that are important for the implementation of the cross-border service, the cross-currency service. We're gaining insights from them on the design of our model and what is good for them as a solution, what is fit for purpose. We're also assisting them to get ready and to bring benefits to their end customers as well. Now, let's go on to the next slide where I'm going to be talking about beyond TIPS. So I've talked about the currencies in TIPS. I've talked about cross-currency service initiatives that we're having in TIPS, but we're also looking beyond TIPS, platform to platform instant payment links. Ulrich referred to it this morning as interlinking. And for the interlinking, we are leveraging on the EPC's OCT scheme and of course also our enhanced linked transaction settlement model. The Governing Council approved last year the exploration for the Project Nexus, which was started up by the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, and that is a multilateral hub. Currently, it will initially have the links with Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and the India. And the reason, and this is really important for us to explore our potential participation there, because TIPS could become and could evolve into a hub for processing cross-border instant payments to and from the euro area. And that is why it's strategically important to us. The other initiative that's been requested by the Governing Council for exploration is with India, with UPI, Unified Payments Interface, and this for us would be a bilateral connection. And you might ask yourself, why UPI? Why is UPI important to us? Now, you probably know that UPI has the largest instant payment transaction volumes in the world. They have about 400 million transactions they settle per day. And for the business case of remittance, it's particularly important because they're among the top 10 recipients of euro area remittances. So that's why we are interested in exploring with India a bilateral link. Now, that's not the end of the line. We certainly will be continuing to explore, and others have also asked about platform-to-platform instant payments. Now, actually, there's quite a long queue of interest, to be honest. And just to mention that if you're interested in connecting to us on cross-border payments, reach out to us on tips at ecb.europa.eu, and I'm moving forward yet. We'd like to hear about your strategy towards instant payments, so feel free to send us an email. Now, I'd like to then move on to the last slide that I have. So you've heard about cross-currency payments. That's on our strategic roadmap, but it's not the only initiative. And just to mention, our strategic pillars for the TIPS evolution is that we want to be a state-of-the-art instant payments platform. We want to be resilient in terms of operational resilience, and we want to remain and nurture being the backbone of pan-European reachability. So keeping TIPS relevant, keeping TIPS attractive is certainly at the bottom of at the start point of our strategic pillars. And that is why cross-border payments, we see that as part of our roadmap. Now, that's not the only initiative we're going for in TIPS, but I'll give you a few examples of other initiatives that you should look out for. Of course, the instant payments regulation, we are performing adaptations here to the scheme. And also related to the instant payments regulation is the verification of payee. There was a question in the chat about that as well. To mention that within the Eurosystem, the Central Bank of Latvia and the Central Bank of Portugal are offering those services, so the verification of payee services for us. We are also, of course, in our strategic initiatives onboarding other non-Euro communities. And you've heard and you've seen earlier in my presentation, Norway, Iceland are there for future onboarding initiatives. Now, the other initiative that I'd like to point out around TIPS is that we are going to be implementing non-time critical payments as well. And we've scheduled a focus session, a separate one from this one, on the 3rd of June for a deep dive into the non-time critical payments. So if you're interested to hear from us on non-time critical payments, please look out for that invitation and please register. We look forward to seeing you again. It's going to be a very interesting one as well. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you for your attention, and I'd be handing back to Eileen for a moment. while I look at the questions that have come up.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, super excellent. So that was a deep dive into the cross-currency, cross-border payments that we also have in the making. So that was a lot from Karen. So now I think it's time to switch it a little bit and bring it back to you guys. So I want everyone, again, stretch your legs, stand up, shake your shoulders a little bit, and grab your phones. Normally I would never say that, right? So don't get distracted, but grab your phone and scan the QR code. And then we just want to ask you a few questions about cross-border payments. Just so we get a bit of input from you, because it's a very good session for us both to get some feedback from you, and also, of course, for you to get a lot of feedback from us. So it's two ways, and just to engage you a little bit. So just take a minute here, scan the QR code and answer these questions. It's super quick. It's like multiple choice, just tick, 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 with a possibility to add a little bit of text if you want to. And while you do that, and think about potential more questions for Karen, or prepare already for the next sessions, I might just bring Karen back. There was one or two questions, maybe. I think we've answered most of them, Karen, but maybe we just want to highlight a little bit on some of the questions that were asked. I think there was maybe a little bit of confusion about how to be able to send Swedish kroner or Danish kroner payments. Maybe you want to say a word on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, today we have mono currency settlement in TIPS. So in future, we will have cross-border payments. We will be using the scheme that is similar to the EPC OC. Well, it is the OTC, the OCT scheme of the EPC, and adapted also a little bit to the other the Nordic scheme. So for the participation, for direct participation, there's a need to get in contact with the central bank. So either with the Riksbank or with the Danish central bank, and to set up a participation. Or of course, you can go via another bank doing the currency conversion. So if you'd like to deep dive into that, please get in contact with us. As I mentioned, we already have 13 PSPs, interested PSPs in the service, who are working with us, and we will have a dedicated task force for that. Feel free to get in contact with us, and we can give you a lot more information if you're interested. And we're always interested to speak to you about your strategy around cross currency. So that's an exciting future. Now, I've seen as well in one of the questions that we've answered at the beginning, or asked you, and you've answered in the beginning, about which currency corridors you might be interested in. We're taking note of all of those answers. I do see that most of you are interested in US dollar. So we'd have to continue the discussions with the Fed on that one. That might be something for the future, but nothing concrete yet. Otherwise, we are also taking note that you've confirmed your interest in Swedish krona and Danish krona, and also Norwegian krona. Thank you for that. Other currencies there as well. Thanks for your openness and your input there. We are looking at how we can achieve that. So first step will be the currencies on our platform. And then second step, platform to platform. We're working in parallel, though, on those initiatives.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. So super here. I see people are very interested already in the future, but let's just be on today for today. Already a lot of currencies in TIPS, so let's start using those. And thank you to Karen. I will also hope you will stay with us in case more pop up, but I see that we are really hitting on time here. So everyone's very interested. We have lots of content still to share.